Hey guys, it's Matt. I want to talk about this movie Into the Wild. I saw it again recently. It is a heck of a movie. 2007. The actor, I'll show many more pictures as we go through this. Emil, is it Hirsch? Man, he's good in this. He also played Speed Racer. He's been in 20 other movies, but never in a mega starring role as big as what he did here. This movie resonates with a lot of us, our type of people. I'll describe the movie, give you a 2 or 3 minute overview as to what happens in the movie. I know probably half of you haven't seen it, but you really should. I mean, people here, our type of people, have this yearning to be free more than most other groups in society. Let's just put it like that. And whoever this Christopher McCandless really was, the kid in 1992 or 1993 that set off, rejected society, rejected his formal education at Emory, graduated with honors, was supposed to go to Harvard Law, just said, I've had enough of it, rejects society, goes off to be a hobo, which is actually different than a bum. A hobo is not a bum. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Goes off just to be one with nature. And of course, videos pop up. Christopher McCandless was not a hero, and it doesn't. The specifics of his circumstances, whoever this Christopher McCandless was, translated into the movie Into the Wild, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're going to talk about this as it relates to us, as it relates to our type of people. If the specifics about Christopher McCandless are a little bit falsified for the movie, who cares? Who cares? I'm going to go through the movie as if it is accurate per what this Christopher McCandless did. This is the actor here, Emil Hirsch, that played the hobo Christopher McCandless, and he got a lot of awards and honors for this role, and he was absolutely excellent in this movie. I thought they thought he'd be a big star, and they put him as Speed Racer. I guess that flopped, and it hurt his career because he never had a major role after that. Been in 20 some movies, been in a lot of things, but not like this, where I guess they thought he would be a major star. Before this, 3 or 4 years before, you may remember him in that skateboarding movie when he was much younger, The Lords of Dogtown, about skateboarding in San Diego, I guess in the late 70s, which is a pretty good movie. Heath Ledger actually has a small role in that. He's a heck of an actor. Plays some burnout seller of surfboards. Hey guys, you gonna go surfing today? He's some burnout surfboard seller. Small part by Heath Ledger. So this is supposedly the real guy, Christopher McCandless, who, say in 92 or 93, again, graduate from Emory University. His parents, you must go to Harvard Law, didn't have a good relationship with his parents. And his sister kind of narrates the movie like Chris had always been a rebel, and the parents want to buy him a new car after graduating Emory University in Atlanta, which has a very good reputation. He has a 15-year-old Datsun 210. He says, why would I need a new car? He wants nothing to do with material possessions or money, and he just checks out. He just says, my parents are total assholes, and just packs his bags, takes to the road, goes out west in the Datsun, and simply, literally walks into the wild. Something that really disturbs me. If you're going to do that, whatever he had left, say $800 when he gets out there after gas money, and he burns his money, and he burns his Social Security card. Well, that's kind of cool. But to burn your money, I mean, are you really ready to live off roots and berries? And he didn't have any prior survival courses. Read some books. You probably keep the $800. I mean, he's walking highways anyway. It really doesn't say how he survives so long. The months go by very quickly in the movie on nothing. See, that's a little bit of an issue. Maybe, but I don't want to I don't want to get into the details. No need to comment that Matt, he didn't burn his money. That's a Hollywood stunt. Who cares? I'm just going by what the movie put forth. And one of the things that's a little strange in the movie is, again, how many months goes by where he seems to be okay traveling state to state, but if he burned his money, well, he does work a few odd jobs along the way. He's out in the wild for several years, and he earns some money that way. But there's a little bit of an issue where, several weeks, months go by. He's just on the highway hitchhiking, and if he had burned his mind. Okay, I don't want to fixate on this too much. Again, for now, I'm going to assume the movie is generally accurate. Generally, that's all we need to continue our discussion. We want to take our discussion here away from the particulars of the movie and talk about our fascination, our wanting to get away from Not Milk Society and to be into the wild. I need to transition this as soon as possible to a discussion about us. Well, then do it, Matt. God damn, you're long-winded, boy. Sorry, I'll get to it. I'm going to do 2 minutes on what the movie is all about, what happened, plot by plot, scene by scene. 2 minutes or less will be difficult, and then I'll transition as soon as I can into why this movie resonates with people like you and people like me, people like us, more than any other group. The movie basically starts off with his graduation at Emory University. That is William Hurt on the left. He died, I think, a few years ago. I don't know the actress on the right, but she was in Space Cowboys. These are the pseudo-false parents in love with the image of the way they want the child to be, the picture of the child that they envision. And Chris, the kid, is nothing like what they want. Reject society, tendencies to reject running the rat race in the material world. And of course, the movie is very clear that he's clashed with his parents for a long, long time. So what they're seeing, these parents in the audience here, they're not seeing Chris there at graduation. They're seeing the child that they would want instead. And many of us know exactly what that's all about. Now, over the course of an hour and a half in the movie, he travels all over the place. I mean, 10, 12 states, mostly hoofing it with a backpack. And there's 100 scenes of him in nature and appreciating the birds and the spider webs. And I love all that. I mean, that's me. Can stare at a spider making a web for an hour, and that's many of you as well. But one of the main themes of the movie is there are 3 or 4 parts where he comes across people that start to care about him. And this young girl falls in love with him. That's just one. Usually has relationships with these older hippies and older men. And he likes them too, or he likes being in that social group. But he has this image, or this false image of what being in ultimate nature will be like and how it will feel. And Alaska is the embodiment of that to him. So even though he has personal relationships, and each time he finds himself with a group of hippies, he seems happy. He seems content. There's a huge message in the movie, and should be a message to all of us. It's not good enough for him, where it should be good enough for him. I mean, many of us, this girl, well, she's a little young. He actually does the right thing, and not, she kind of comes on to him and he says, I think you're a little young or whatever, but she's a nice girl, and you kind of want him. He's with Vince Vaughn for a while on a big farm, working a tractor, and you say, well, why not just settle in with this group of friends that you seem so compatible with? But it doesn't matter if the nice young girl is really interested in him. He likes her too, but he doesn't like her as much as this image, this false image of what ultimate freedom will look like. And of course, the main lesson, once he gets into that situation, it's 1,000 times more harsh and more brutal than he ever imagined, and it becomes, of course, a survival situation, and the rest. So after 2 years of wandering, he finally makes it to Alaska, not Fairbanks or Nome, a very remote part of Alaska, and this famous bus comes into the story, where he comes across this bus. Of course, it's in the perfect location for it to be a shelter for him. There is actually a barrel stove inside that really got my attention, and it's all set up for survival with a mattress and everything. The story behind this bus, again, guys, I don't want to get into. Some people would be saying right now, I can hear you saying, isn't it a little convenient that he found the bus out there? I don't care. I don't want to get into what's real and what's not. The story is, there was a construction company that had to build a road to a mine in the early 60s. They dragged this bus in that didn't have an engine just so that they could use it as a base command. They left it out there. I'm just assuming there's really a guy named Chris that came across this. There's no reason for the lessons we want to take away from this movie or story, or what we want to talk about. It doesn't matter if it really happened or it's total fiction. Now, as Chris is heading out into a very remote part of Alaska, this is the river, this is the actual river that he crosses and will eventually find the bus that becomes his little encampment. But the picture taken here is not from the movie. It's probably at Alaska's driest time towards the end of the summer, September or October. I mean, there's hardly any water at all. He crosses it in the movie. There's 3 or 4 feet of water running. He crosses it easily. It wasn't as dry as this in the movie. But when he goes to go back across the river, it's right in the middle of the spring thaw. And this river, which is mostly dry here, is a raging rapid. And he has enough experience, and he's done kayaking down the rapids. He knows you put one leg in, it's just going to suck you down. There's no possible way to get across until the spring thaw ends. So at this point, he's exhausted his supplies. How much 22 ammo does he have left? He's not catching the game or the animals that he thought. He just, the survival berries are not there. He's really struggling, and he just can't get back across the river. And who knows how many weeks it would take for the spring thaw to end. It would probably be rapids for 6 to 8 weeks, and he runs out of supplies, and the tragic end of the story. But one thing that the movie very subtly shows you, I don't think people would catch this, normal people outside of our community wouldn't catch this sort of thing, even watching it 2 or 3 or 4 times. But it's actually emphasized in the Wikipedia article, and it's well put, and I'm glad it was emphasized. He said something like in the Wikipedia article in the movie, Chris realizes that even though he potentially found his ultimate destination, true beauty and the experiences of the true beauty in this world is best shared with people you care about, best shared with loved ones or those great people he met along the way and the great relationships he developed. Vince Vaughn, again, was a farmer who gets arrested because on the side he's selling these black boxes that help people unscramble satellite TV. He's doing this illicit activity on the side, and it shows his arrest actually in the movie. Again, the history of it is clear that this is supposed to be a real story, that the farmer that this Chris McCandless worked for, which is played by Vince Vaughn, he was on the farm, it seems like, for maybe 6 to 8 weeks, something like that, made a little bit of money. History, or at least what's presented online, says there was a real farmer that was actually arrested for selling these black box satellite TV scramblers. And but he had a great relationship with the people on that farm, a great relationship with the people at Slab City. Before that, the hippie communities that he came across before that. And again, I'm glad the Wikipedia emphasized it. He's trying to get back across the river. He's saying, I want to get back. I love this whole nature thing, but I need to share it, or the best parts of life are having these experiences with the people that we care about and love. And, somebody screaming at me, well, Matt, this is such a major message. Do you think it really happened? What a coincidence. He's now cut off from it. And what's the gigantic metaphysical metaphor in that? I hear you. That doesn't mean it didn't happen, but I hear you. Now he's cut off. Now he's gone too far, and he can't get back to civilization, where he has to go back into civilization. He has to go back in the, quote, lower 50 to find the people that he met along the way that he truly cares about. And now he's cut off. He's gone too far. There's a huge message in it. Whether, this story exactly played out the way the movie says it did or not. The last personal relationship that Chris has before finding the remote part of Alaska and the bus, etc., and having those real hard times, is he meets a friend, an older gentleman who's in his late 70s, and they have a great relationship of the young kid and the mentor. And Chris, I think, still lives out in the desert in his tent, but he uses the older gentleman's place for laundry, and he crashes there, and they have meals together. And again, you don't know how much time goes by in the movie. It seems like Chris is with him 4 to 6 weeks. He's kind of with every group of people that he meets that he grows to care about, maybe 4 to 6 weeks, and then he has to move on. In one instance, he just left without even saying goodbye, just left a message in the sand. He always has to move on. And again, found that when he found that ultimate location, it was just way more brutal, way more harsh. It tells you a lot about the natural world. It tells you a message is the human on its own is not meant to be in the middle of the natural world. The natural world is just too hardcore with the vultures and the animals, and it's almost like it's saying you need a little bit of society. You do. You need a little, because in the smack in the middle of nature, it's just it for 99 point whatever percent of humans, it's just too tough. These animals are on a completely different level. We have a little cut on the finger. Love talking about this, of course. Like, oh, is it going to get infected? Anybody got the Neosporin? Are you going to get infected? Oh, you got methylate. You got, what is it? Greg sends me red oil. Matt, put the red oil. That's what we use down here in South Carolina. Red oil cures everything. But it gets infected. And then Pam was bitten, but when Pam wouldn't let Zara alone when Zara was real young, and Zara's a tortico. She can be real affectionate, and she can be a real bitch. I mean, she's a tortico. That's a major tortitude attitude. Pam wouldn't let her alone, having a few drinks, wouldn't let her, kept petting. Pam bit her. She bit Pam. And of course, major infection, had to go for the huge antibiotic shot. And the human body we're not compatible with this natural world. It's too fragile. Evolution, Darwin is ridiculous. I mean, if Darwin was right, we wouldn't be burned by the sun after millions and millions of years. Just the sunburn by itself proves Darwin and all of his bull crap is just complete nonsense. So one of the messages here is you put the human, whether it be Alaska or the middle of the Amazon. And again, how do these certain tribes in the Amazon survive? Well, they survive in community. They don't go off to live on their own. They survive in 20, 30, 40 each with a certain task, and they still will perish to the poisonous frogs that have the blue and the yellow back, and it's still hardcore harsh even when the human lives in community. Human body is just not compatible with this natural world. That's one of the greatest news. That's the greatest news of all time to us. It proves we're a temporary species here, a spiritual being that just is kind of coming in for an experiences and will get out. Not that we're not rooted here. Obviously, we didn't come from here. Obviously, but we'll have that spiritual conversation some other time. So the main message here is I need to get back to the people I care about. And now, whether you want to call it metaphysical reality, truth, or whatever, is he now completely cut off. He's gone too far. And, he could have, and as you're watching the movie for the second or the third time, you know what's going to happen. You kind of wish that he would, you kind of want to say to Chris, stay with the young girl. Or, okay, she's, he didn't touch her. Okay, remember, let's forget about that. She's going to be 18 in a few weeks or whatever, right? So she's very nice. Or the old man, stay with him, or stay with the hippies, stay in Slab City. These people are great people all around, and you just cry out to Chris. You say, stay with why are you moving on? These are great people. These are types of relationships that we crave. Many of you listening to the words coming out of my mouth are surrounded by assholes. You the people at work, assholes. The people, your roommates, assholes or whatever. A lot of your family around you, assholes, right? So he has these great relationships that people are so nice. That is one of the major messages in the movie. It says, be careful what you wish for, but also, look in terms of what's right in front of you. What's right in front of you may be the greatest thing, and are you going to miss how great what's right in front of you really is for this notion of always something better, the trap that almost all humans fall into, for something better. Slab City desert community. If I don't get to it in this video, guys, I'll do a whole video on it at some point. I believe it still exists and it's a real place. So I told you about the older man, which was his last relationship or friendship before he really found the place he supposedly thought he wanted to go in Alaska. This was his first group of friends that he met on the road or out in the wild, just walking the road. They picked him up as a hitchhiker. The actress on the left is from 40-Year-Old Virgin, and she's been in a lot of movies. On the right, the guy on the right I don't think he's an actor that you would or anybody would know, but he spends, again, his first relationship where he shares things about himself and finds people for the first time, like that aren't assholes. That he's just weeks out of Emory University and he's away from his parents, and this whole societal structure of you need to do this. This is your next step. Harvard Law is next for you inside society. The first people he meets that are true freedom lovers and free spirits and hippies. And if you watch this the second time, or the first time, you don't know what's going to happen, so you just watch. But you watch the second time or the third time, you say, stay with these two. They love you, and you love them, and they don't want you to leave. Stay with them, or at least stay in this community. And he keeps leaving these great people behind for this false idea, of course, like we talked about, that never materializes. And the relationships that he comes across are too perfect, but that's, I guess, part of the message of the movie. There's these two, then Vince Vaughn and all the friends he has on the farm. They're all nice people. Then he meets up with these two again because he knows they hang out at Slab City. He comes back through Slab City, meets the young girl who's very nice and beautiful, and she plays guitar. And like, well, why don't you stay with her? And then the older man is so nice. Just live. You're just yelling at this kid. Just live with the old man. You guys are great friends. And he's the old man. He lives in a small house or whatever. He doesn't have much, but he has no family. He has no children. I mean, obviously he'll just give it all to the kid. He does not give it all. Like, he has an old Bronco and an old house, but it's relatively remote. And you're kind of wanting to say to the kid, at some point you have to adopt a little bit of society. Like I've said a million times, we just can't go off and live in a cardboard box. It would be great for 3 days, and then it would get very harsh, and it wouldn't work out. And this kid learns the lesson the hard way. And the message again in Wikipedia puts it forth that he realizes that true beauty can't be appreciated the way he thinks it can be without sharing it with the people that he learned to love along the way. He tries to get back across the river, and now he's cut himself off. And there's a lot of metaphors and analogies you can take away from that. But initially, when he arrives at his ultimate destination of freedom, this remote part of Alaska across the river, for a few weeks, it's great. Oh, he loves it. I don't know if he made this outdoor shower. Again, this bus was left there by a construction unit that needed to make a road into a mine. Maybe they made this, and there's a lot of stuff there for him. He's very fortunate. I mean, he wouldn't have lasted even a few weeks just with that little tent of his. It's like, what was he thinking? There was a mattress in the bus, a barrel stove, a 55-gallon old oil drum barrel that you can easily make into a stove. I've actually done that, of course, myself. And there's forks and knives and little things that he can use, a little oil lamp. So one would think that the construction unit made this shower. He didn't. You just heat it up on top of the barrel stove. You can get underneath, have a shower. Oh, it's wonderful for him for 3-4 weeks. And then it gets you're in the middle of hardcore nature. It just gets too hardcore. It's too hardcore for 99.99999% of all humans. The minimum, if you're going to be in that hardcore nature, the human has to be in a community of 10, 15, 20 people with division of labor. We are not the animals. We don't have the same body. We're just going to get crushed by nature. And he got crushed over time. So the movie Into the Wild comes out in 2007, and we could predict what happened shortly after, because everybody knows it's related to supposedly a real story. Christopher McCandless, and already been a book written about his adventures and the magic bus, it was called. So what happened, of course? Every single hiking and camping yahoo in the world of a certain type, of course, tries to head up there. Like these two taking selfies of themselves in front of what's called the magic bus. So hundreds and hundreds of tourists over years and years, they start trying to trek across the river, trying to get up to the magic bus, and they take pictures and they post it on Instagram or whatever. And this goes on until I think I read 2020. Where, of course, big government had to step in, and they have to be the nanny state, and they have to say, this is unsafe, people trying to cross this river to get to see the bus from the movie, and we need to step in as big government. And all the tourists went saying, thanks a lot, thanks, big government. And big government said back to them, "Monkey, love you." Big government had to step in so people could stay safe, and it had to remove the bus. They brought in like a big Chinook helicopter or something and took it out so the tourists wouldn't try to keep going up there and crossing the river. Hey, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, big government. I don't know what we would do without you thinking about our health and welfare. But on the other side, it tries to you-know-what us. Anyway, I can't say that. What a joke. Big government trying to, the Park and Rec and Ranger Service came in to keep people safe. Just mind your own business, you assholes. And here it is, I guess. It says, Into the Wild bus, the infamous Bus 142, to feature a new exhibit at University of Alaska Museum of the North. Now, the top of this bus is yellow. The one in the wild is white. I don't know. Matt, you take some sort of corrosion off, it becomes yellow again. I don't know. Either way, it looks like some piece of shit they're going to put in a museum. Let it be out there in the wild where it belongs. This Knottnilk system is to put everything in a museum. It just wants the chattel and the cattle funneling through museums. So you could say, this is what life used to be like before we stole all your freedoms. It loves museums, doesn't it? It just loves to put everything in a goddamn museum. Now, I think I've talked about this guy's channel before or shown you part of his video. The channel is called Cheap RV Living. Matt, you gonna leave a link? No, I'm not. He's always pushing van life, low-cost van life that actually feels like a cozy home. How do you live in a van? Anyway, this guy, I don't think he's some Knottnilk minion, or he seems legitimate to me. He's been doing this a long time, but the Knottnilk is promoting this. That's the point. Not blaming this guy. He probably likes to live like this. I can only assume he's completely legitimate. But the Knottnilk is promoting this, like we've talked about, as well as tiny house living. I don't think we're going to get into in this video why, and we want to keep this a little bit lighter, not immediately fall back into the dark conversations. But the Knottnilk is promoting this. Oh, live in a van. Who knows? I'm not really ready to talk about it. But a lot of people then make countering videos saying van life was a nightmare. Don't do it. They're glamorizing it for some reason. It's very strange because on the other side, they want the other half of the United States to live in these gigantic McMansions with 20-foot foyers as you walk in that waste all the heating and air conditioning. It's weird, but it's almost like the whole reality can't help itself. The whole polarity, dichotomy, duality. It always has to have the two sides of the coin. The Knottnilk always pushes further and further away, the rich and the poor. So you have it, up here, just a few miles away. I need to walk through this neighborhood at some point, guys. It used to say starting at the 2 millions. I don't even know what that means. Starting at it was like these Toll Brother, these giant homes with the plastic siding. It's like, who would pay $2 million for this freaking thing? I got to walk. I still think it's under construction. I got to walk through the neighborhood, guys, over the next few weeks and show you. So why doesn't it just say starting at 2 million and up? Starting at the 2 millions. What kind of bot wrote that? It's a big sign. Oh, look, honey, starting at the 2 millions. Let's pull in and check it out. I think each giant house is on like 1/16 of an acre or 1/8 of an acre. Anyway, so the Knottnilk promotes that. And then this at the same time, it's strange. Knottnilk, you're a weird bird. If you're listening to me, Knottnilk, you're a weird bird. A big part of his channel recently, and I'll watch a video once a month or so, probably not more than that, is like living in a Home Depot shed, or these they're called discount structures, and actually some of the Amish make them up here in my part, but they're just sheds for tools and things. But he's saying live in the damn thing. So it's inside my finished tiny house shed, and he actually has a video I saw where he goes to Home Depot and he sees what they have available to be delivered. And so the person at Home Depot like, oh, what sort of tools do you want to store in the shed? And we can put your rakes up here, so you can hammer into the walls here and hang your rakes and your brooms, and it's big enough for a small track. Oh no, you don't understand. I don't want to put any tools in here. I want to live in here. You want to what? There's no toilet, sir. There's no. How do you anyway? Sorry. I was at a loss for words, just thinking about living in a Home Depot shed with no toilet, and of course, and even if you could even get settled, of course, the inspectors of almost every county in the country, the inspectors would be out there. You don't have septic. You didn't get your permits. So you're just harassed by the local city authorities pushing their ordinance on you, whatever that is. But so the Not Milk pushes this anyway. I'm long-winded, but this appeals to us to a degree, to our type of people. That's why, well, not everybody likes we look for a not milk-free zone. That appeals to a lot of you. The fantasy of it, of being in a place in this world where there is no not milk, or there's an agreement where it won't fly its tails of chemicals planes over, and its authorities won't be knocking down our doors, and the inspectors and the taxation authorities. And not milk free zone is a very pleasant fantasy to many of us, and this is similar. It's can I truly get away if I live in a Home Depot shed or one of these discount structures, these little, they sell them on the side of the road, or they'll rent a lot and sell these discount structures. And now they make them cutesy looking. The old days just was this ugly ass shed. Now they make the shed for the tools and your rakes and shit look like little homes and stuff, but they're still, I mean, they've got this says under 9,000 delivered. And yes, some of these sheds, they start at 4,000 or 5,000. I mean, they're expensive. And tiny homes start at 85,000 to 160 just like tiny little home on wheels. But the point is, this does appeal to our type, because it's always in the back of our mind. Is it possible to live outside of its sticky grasp? Can we truly get away? And it's always kind of teasing us. In the beginning of the movie, he does some stupid things that I would call stupid, that bothered me when I first saw it. Would probably bother you. Not just burning his money. I mean, again, why not just stuff the $800 you have left in your pocket? You may need it. I mean, it's just some stupid stuff. But he sends, his father has put a college fund together that he's been drawing off for Emory. And his father says, I'll certainly pay for if you want to go off to Harvard Law, William Hurt. And he has $24,000 left, I think, in his college fund, but he controls the money. And he sends it to Oxfam. Oxfam is one of these international nonprofits or NGO or PVO. Like, I don't know. They help people in Africa, and it's a famous thing. I've heard of it. Oxfam. He just mails whatever he has left in that one account, the 24,000. He sends it to Oxfam. And again, we're yelling at him, going, "Well, we know how efficiently run those types of charities are associated with the UN and UNESCO, right? You want to say to Chris here, 90% of the money is just going to go into their extravagant lunches and dinners, and you're not really helping it. 10 cents will help somebody, but most people that give to these types of charities don't realize that. But that's for another video. So keep the money. At the time in 1992 or 1993, go get one of these nice sheds, and you could actually hire a helicopter in Alaska in 1992 for $5,000 to drop the shed in kind of where the bus is. You could have used that money, but I don't know. It's ugly to him. Any sort of using of money to get where he thinks he needs to be is cheating. It's ugly, and I understand. Certain people, they would not want to use that tainted, ugly. I was that way to a degree. I through the Texas Shrugged channel that was here, through several years of Quantum of Conscience, never ran an ad, never took a penny from this. Never took a penny. It was just Matt, you didn't need the money. I did need it. It was just it was dirty. It was like a weird contract I did not want to get into, taking a penny from, let's just say, this or certain platforms. So I people have said I don't know how much I've let go over the years, but it was ugly to me, and never took a penny. So maybe I'm more like this guy than I think. And back to the Cheap RV Living channel, it has over 800,000 subscribers. And if you want to find it, it's see that how it's written there, Cheap RV Living, everything's run together. That's how he writes it. But it seems like whenever I've come across the channel, and I just scrolled through generally his videos, the people he highlights that are living in these vans and these campers and conversion old Ram vans in real small situations, it seems like 60% or more are 40 to 50-year-old women. Now, we're going to get back to people calling me names and stuff like, oh, what's wrong with that, Matt? Why a woman can't live in a van? Oh, come on. Do you think that's what we would expect? You think of all the people that living in these small vans, you think we'd expect 60 to 65% or 70% that he highlights are women? No, it's just, I'm sorry. I don't think that's misogynistic or strange to say that. I think it would be like 60% men and 40% women. And say they, yeah, okay, stop apologizing, Matt. It's not normal. I think that's just most women are going to, as they roam around the country in a van in the middle. Think about it, parked in a field in the middle of the night. You think that's I don't know. It's just I'd be scared. Again, this is the guy, 815,000 subscribers. Here's another woman that is his guest for this video. Inside her $0 van home. Clever van life ideas you'll want to copy. Cheap RV living classic. Look, the Not Milk pushes this, like I said before. And guys, it puts the lid on other types of speech. Many of you know I have that hobby YouTube channel called Stove Advice, all run together. I build these little stoves with bricks. I talk about Russian stoves and things like that, and rocket stoves. And I'm telling you, my subscriber numbers, it's almost like it figured out who I am. The first few weeks, it shot, many of you subscribed, I told you guys about, I appreciate that. It shot to 2,000 subscribers. And then it's been just, I don't know, has it been 5 or 6 months or so, locked at 2,200 or whatever it may be. I get almost no one. And even there's actually, I think in the last video, somebody commented like, you're providing so much good information about wood stoves and wood heating and making, it's amazing. Like he said in the comment, more people haven't found this channel because there are these 2-bit videos on how to construct a welded rocket stove, just like 2 pieces of pipe welded together, and throw some sticks in it, and it has 80,000 views. Not that wood stoves is the most popular thing in the world, but I could show you 100 wood stove videos that are just crap that have over 100,000 views. It's almost like it figured out I don't know, like it didn't know to start that this is my second channel, but it just is strange. I mean, it doesn't show my videos, even for stove advice, to anybody. I'll do a video and I'll get 4 comments underneath. And I don't, will they lock me down like they've locked this channel? If I didn't have the 93.3 that I've had for 5 years, whatever. It's just strange. Where this channel, the guy just stands, he just highlights people living in a mattress in the back of the vans or whatever. And here's how I store my cat food or whatever. He gets he shoots up to 800,000 subscribers. Of course, when that happens, the Not Milk is pushing it. Here's one more. This guy's got hundreds of people he's interviewed, all with separate videos about how they live in their van in a tiny little car or whatever it may be. 79-year-old van dweller living cheap on Social Security. You better live cheap, boy. You get your $7 a month from the government. Of course, that's a non sequitur. It goes without saying you better live cheap if you're just on Social Security. And you got a Coca-Cola van, you better take that logo off the back, Mandela affected dash or not. You better take that logo. Matt, it's breaking down. Probably. The Coca-Cola people will be on your ass. So you can't living like a bum out here in the desert. You can't leave our logo, which has an intrinsic value on the balance sheet on the ledger of $2 billion. You can't leave our logo on the back of your bum life. I'm telling you, the Coca-Cola people will be on his ass soon, even no matter where he got it. So, it's all the same. And there's people are doing pushback videos. You've seen these, like homesteading is not what it seems. Off-grid is not what it seems. Van living is not what it seems. And I'm glad for the pushback videos. You have to absolutely know what you're getting into to do this. I mean, there's things you haven't even thought of. I haven't. I've thought it through a little bit because I've watched a lot of this, and it's a fantasy for me though. Just like dreaming to be of this of a not milk free zone, or it's like I dream of Genie, just dreaming of being in a situation where you truly can, be free or want to get away. It's the fantasy of it that gets me. And but just where do you even park? Is it Walmart still allows people to park? I don't. There's almost no place to park. I mean, I found this out when Ken and I went to a Penn State game in 1993. My friend Ken, we were supposed to stay with his friend, but he couldn't find the guy, or the guy well, he's not on campus. Oh, Ken, you didn't call him before we came up here. We had nowhere to stay. It was a big game. It was Ohio State or something. All the hotel rooms were booked. And we were, really young at the time. I think we wanted to get a last minute hotel room for $400 anyway. So we're like, it was hard for us to find, well, where we sleep here? Well, no, this building has security. They're going to come out and knock on the windows. Like just one night, we had to just find a place along. Well, should we sleep along the street here? It was uncomfortable for us as these two kind of young kids. Like we eventually found a baseball field that we felt like nobody would harass us. But you get harassed in these. You park in the wrong spot. Someone's rapping on the window. Hey, you have a permit to be here? Get the fuck out. Get out. And what do you do? Where do you go? You go the bathroom? Or it's just tough, guys. I mean, unless you have, even RV. If you have and these RVs are 80 grand, or old used RVs, 80 grand. New ones, 200, 300,000. For, where do you even, the RV parks they're saying are expensive now, and it's expensive to dispose of the waste. And this is, I mean, Not Milk tempts you with this, but Not Milk has locked the whole, Western world down, where you find you have no place to really park, or, I'm sure, look, you go out west, there's a lot of land. Most of these people, the East is different. These people end up going out west, and there's a lot of, thousands of square miles and acres where, you can, but I'm sure it's still not easy. And in the East Coast, Northeast, Boston down through Philadelphia, Baltimore, you where are you going to park? Where are you going to, you almost have to go out west to the desert, or you just would be continuously harassed. So in closing, and one of the big lessons of this movie is sometimes the heaven or the paradise is right in front of you. He had this picture in his mind of what absolute freedom would look like and feel like, and it was Alaska, and he had to get there. And it's not just, the pretty young girl on the far bottom left. The relationship or with his friend who was about 80 or so was just as beautiful. And the hippie, the two hippies in the van, and the people he met at Slab City, although they glamorize, I know Slab City is a pretty hardcore place to live. I know I've seen, there's theft and there's certain element there, and they glamorize it. Of course, they make it seem like it's so perfect and beautiful. I'm aware of that. Well, I'm not going to get to Slab City in this video. We'll talk about it soon. But the heaven sometimes is right in front of you. Or at the minimum, maybe you don't like me putting it like that, but another way to put it is be careful what you wish for. There's something, it's not always better around the corner. And I have a personal story I could share about that. I just kind of knew, though, I would never have children. I just knew. I saw a family with kids, and I just knew when I was even in 5th grade, I just knew that just would never be me. Now, I didn't think about it at the time and point and say, I'm not going to do that shit. I didn't even think, I just kind of looking back, I kind of always remember feeling like that's just not going to be me. I didn't try to avoid it. We thought if I met the right woman, and I prefer a woman, guys. Is that okay? Can you say that in 2025? That's what I prefer. I hope that's still okay. But I figured if it happens, it happens. But I kind of knew it wouldn't. But anyway, so I knew this wasn't for me anyway, but the girlfriend I had my senior year at Penn State was just that, she just kind of looks like this girl a bit, just nice girl, very, very, just, I don't know, wasn't bitchy, just very friendly, supportive. And she wanted, because the next boyfriend that she got after me, I didn't want what she wanted. She, of course, married, kids. That's what she wanted, and I kind of sensed that's what she wanted. But that's not the point of why I'm telling this story. I just thought, well, she's nice, and I appreciate so many things about her. But as a young man at 20 or 21, figured, well, there's hundreds more that are going to be way better. There's no reason to latch on to this woman or settle down. There's going to be hundreds more, and you know what happens. Of course, there aren't. She has qualities. There aren't hundreds more. Isn't even one more that was better. It's like, well, this one 2 years later might be prettier, or might have whatever it might be. But she was real bitchy. Like, oh, I didn't have a lot of girlfriends. And she says, "Who's a bitch now, bitch?" I mean, it's like, that's from 40-Year-Old Virgin. It's got freaking French toast. She wasn't like that. But it's like, all of a sudden, this girl that I dated at my senior year in Penn State, all of a sudden, I was like, wait a second, you didn't realize the heaven that was right in front of you. Let's get some fucking French toast. She wasn't like that girl in 40-Year-Old Virgin. I'm just using that as a wild example. And I didn't, and it's a bad example, this whole thing, because I didn't, Matt, you would have settled down and had the kids. No, I didn't want that anyway. But I didn't realize that the girl I dated, that I just thought she's nice. I just wasn't head over heels. I never would have said I was in love with her, but that would have basically been the best girl I ever dated. I mean, it was just a disaster. After the women were this attitude or that or this. I mean, I was like, well, I had no idea. So, the heaven can be this. I'm sorry to be all over the place. Let me wrap it up. That as you watch this movie for the second time, knowing you say, stay with her, as I said earlier, stay with the old man, stay with the hippies. The heaven, Chris, the heaven is right in front of you. Don't always look for something else. It's a great lesson for anybody, especially young people. Now, this scene here with Doc Graham from Field of Dreams is related to what we're talking about. And any chance I can get to talk about this scene again, it's one of the greatest truth drops, one of the most important messages in movie history, in all of existence. This is my top 10 in terms of advice that I constantly remind myself, where Doc Graham says, we just don't recognize the most important moments of our lives as they're happening. Something like that. As they're happening. We just don't recognize or realize the most significant moments of our lives as they're happening. It's like one thing I could stress to somebody that's about to graduate high school. It just say this every day. This is kind of similar to, this is how memories are made. Or are you realizing that what could be in front of you, and it could even be something that seems, as looking back, a routine or mundane. It could be. Are you recognizing it as it's happening? The most significant and special moments of our lives. And it relates back to Chris's relationship initially with the first two hippies, then with Vince Vaughn and the Farmer Crew, then with the young girl, then with the old man. He didn't realize that these relationships, this is the most incredible, significant thing that will happen in my life. But I just want to get to Alaska. That's a huge message in the movie. This is great, and he probably would admit at the time it's great, but it won't be as great as Alaska. This fantasy image of where he thinks he needs to be. He absolutely did not apply Doc Graham's advice. And just wait a second. This could be one of the most significant or special moments of my life, and I need to recognize it as it's happening. And this is this is incredible advice for all of us. You can't say it enough, and it relates to saying this is how memories are made, and it is a major aspect of part 2, the work. Thanks for listening.